Good morning, my name is Benjamin Moeller. I'm a paleontologist, and I refuse to bend to the will of the woke mob telling me to drop out of the presidential race just because a worm ate 1/5 of my brain. Today I'm out here in the Naco Formation with this convict I picked up on the side of the road. We're looking at the 309 million year old Naco Formation. If you're not familiar with what we're looking at, it's basically a sea deposit up here in the mountains of Arizona. If you want to hear more about that, I've got other videos shot previously this year and last year as well that you can look into, but basically we're looking for invertebrates, including brachiopods, that stuff that looks like clams, but they're not actually clams. There are some actual straight up clams that we find here sometimes. Crinoids, which are still around today, kind of a octopus, asparagus looking hybrid sort of critter. There's shark teeth in this area and lots of other stuff. So we're out here exploring on a very hot June afternoon. This is one of my favorite things to collect out here. It's a little brachiopod called Anthracospirifer, and they're not quite as common as some of the other types, but they have a very distinct kind of shape to them and a little bit of a lip there between the valves. And this is a baby. The larger ones can get to be 4 or 5 times that size, but it's always special when you find a complete juvenile. Or this might even be not that far away from a larval stage. So the red rocks at the canyon we were walking through earlier, it's called the Red Wall Limestone. It's actually below the Naco Formation. It's older. It comes from a subdivision of the Carboniferous period called the Mississippian. The Naco Formation, which is what's behind me, this gray stuff, this is the Pennsylvanian. It's the upper portion of the Carboniferous period. And then because of the law of superpositioning, that means that older rocks are below and younger rocks are above. All this stuff above me, that's younger material, and the Naco continues up for a little while, and then it turns into what's called the Supai, which is lower Permian. So the Carboniferous, as you would guess from the name, was a period in Earth's history where there's a lot of carbon being laid down because it's very wet and highly forested all around the world. But as time goes on and all the continents smush together into one giant continent called Pangaea in the Permian, the Earth gets a lot drier and it gets a lot hotter. And so the marine units that are behind me that have all the fossils in them fade away, and you start getting these massive sandstones and large limestone blocks instead. So, geological history right here in the road cut. These bigger shells are called productids. It's got a nice slope to it, and then it's flat on this side. And so you might imagine that in life position, it sat kind of like this, but actually, when these were alive, they would have been covered in rows of little spikes. And those were for preventing them from sinking into the mud that all these fossils were eventually fossilized in. And that was on this surface. And so actually, they would sit kind of like this when they were alive. And interestingly, in areas with pretty good deposition, you can still find them kind of buried in that position where they died and then they were covered up by mud. This one's in pretty good condition. This is a cool little guy right here.